Thank you, Tim. First of all, for everyone in the room, I will be reading from some notes because, in the words of Taylor Swift, I want to be sure to hit my marks. So, a few Swifties in the room, that's okay. All right, so before I kick off, I'm just going to introduce myself and the company. So, to inspire the brilliance of life by creating rich experiences for people in harmony with nature. This is the purpose of Suntory. It's our guiding principle, and it's what keeps our teams motivated every day. And I mention this because sustainability is an integral part of our core values and the aspiration behind our Growing for Good initiatives. But does this mean that sustainability is as embedded into our business growth model as it should be? Before discussing the connection between reporting and business growth, let me briefly introduce our organisation. We're the global Suntory Group. We are recognised for our whiskies and our iconic soft drink brands like Lucozade and Ribena here in the UK, and Schweppes, Orangina and Oasis in Europe. Founded in 1899, it took nearly a century before our Japanese domestic business began a rapid international expansion. And today we have a global presence in 120 countries with more than 40,000 employees. Our journey from a small domestic enterprise to a global powerhouse has been marked by innovation, perseverance, and a commitment to excellence. And closer to home, our European operations, headquartered here in the UK, are part of the listed entity Suntory Beverage and Food, with the majority of ownership still owned by the family. So therefore, safeguarding the future of the business is crucial, not only for our shareholders and our employees, but also for the family. It's a personal matter. The family's involvement ensures that our long-term vision and values remain intact, guiding us as we navigate the complexities of the modern business landscape. So our current reporting landscape. So first of all, quick show of hands for me. How many people in the room are responsible or accountable for ESG or sustainability reporting in their business? Oh, you lucky guys. Okay, so you're the responsible and accountable people. So hopefully you'll have some familiarity with what we're going to talk about today. How many of you are involved in the process of sustainability reporting? Okay, a lot more. So because you're touched, I'm really hoping that's why you're here today. For those in the room who actually already do it, I hope some of what I talk about resonates today. And for those of you who are about to embark on it, maybe we'll get some learnings along the way. So for many years, Suntory has reported on its sustainability goals and achievements, generously sharing best practices such as through our natural water sanctuaries and Mizuiku water education programs. We've established forums for discussion and action, and a decade ago we launched our Environmental Vision 2050. The leadership demonstrated by our global business has set the benchmark for our own Growing for Good strategy and action plan in Europe. Last year, in preparation for the EU's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, we reviewed our own sustainability strategy. The review involved benchmarking against peers and competitors to identify strengths, weaknesses, risks and opportunities, core components of that Sustainability Reporting Directive. We conducted a materiality assessment, of course a double materiality assessment for those who are doing the EU standards at the moment, to pinpoint the issues that matter. We conducted workshops with risk management, external affairs teams, and we conducted a European-wide employee survey to get the view from what we call the Gemba, the people on the ground, of actually what sustainability means to them and what their expectations are. And of course, additionally, we reviewed legislation, consumer trends, and customer expectations. And this was our first step towards proactively integrating sustainability with broader business operations, ensuring all perspectives were considered as we developed our new strategic framework. So the result was a holistic strategy and action plan covering all aspects of our operations with clearly defined commitments and targets relevant for each department and country. And as you saw at the beginning, we're responsible in our European organisation for more than 60 countries, extending from both here in Europe, but as far as, Caribbean, etc. For the past 3 years, we have voluntarily reported our progress in line with GRI standards. But despite having more visual goals, we realised that embedding sustainability right from business decision-making to employees' roles and responsibilities was still lacking. So this brings us to today's question. Can integrating sustainability disclosure requirements transcend mere compliance and act as a catalyst for transformative strategy that embeds sustainability into the core of the business operations? That's just an example. Sorry, I forgot that slide was there of how we currently report. Okay, so what you're seeing on the screen now is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the new European Sustainability Reporting Standards. For those of you who are just UK-based operations, obviously we have own standards that will be coming forward here in the UK in the next 2 years, but they won't be dissimilar. So as a non-listed company, these requirements are actually new for us. So as I mentioned, our global organisation has done all of the disclosure reporting to date. We've only done it voluntarily. So this is quite new for us as an organisation. So we had to carefully assess in terms of the resource impact on people, time and investment before even performing a gap analysis on the requirements themselves. So developing the narrative for the business was a crucial initial step. Our leaders needed to understand that adopting these requirements would enhance transparency and accountability. It led us to scrutinise processes, identify inefficiencies, and seek improvements, which could drive innovation as we look to sustainable alternatives to traditional practices. And we viewed these disclosures as a guidance, which could lead our colleagues to a deeper understanding of sustainability, transforming employees to stewards from employees to stewards of environmental responsibility who would be equipped to make impactful decisions. However, as you heard in the previous discussion, the path to sustainability comes with challenges, and introducing new requirements can meet resistance, perceived as an additional burden on resources and time. So there is a huge learning curve, and that initial investment could, when not handled right, be significant. Which brings us back to our question, is it a burden or a benefit? So our approach, and if you find yourself in a similar situation of building disclosure and transparency, perhaps we can offer some insights and early results. Change management, as we just heard in the last presentation. Using the ADCAR change management model, we created a communications and outreach plan to build awareness amongst key stakeholders, starting with the executive leadership team. Gaining their sponsorship was absolutely critical to securing resources for investing in people and systems, which was essential for the long-term project success. We created roadshows within the organisation, meeting functional teams, hosting ESG Disclosure 101 talks, and holding workshops. We explained the variety of disclosures and outlined the next 3 years of expectations and benefits of participation. Turning awareness into desire, the A and the D of the ADCAR model, took time, but we leveraged existing business needs. For example, creating synergies in policy adaptation or improving data accuracy. This made business partners see disclosure reporting as a change catalyst, supporting their own transformation objectives. We developed a broad network of colleagues involved in reporting, from HR and people operations right through to quality, health and safety teams. We offered training plans, building knowledge, the K of ADCAR, and turning novices into experts. The narrative began to change, with CSRD becoming common language in business planning, symbolising improved processes and transparency. And additionally, we focused on enhancing the second element, our governance processes, securing executive sponsorship beyond our immediate department, leveraging their scope and influence for support. We identified necessary processes and information flows across functions and countries, which would also be considered during the first audit assurance phase. And one of the early conclusions we reached was centred on responsibility and ownership of reporting. By creating experts across the business in countries and functions, we've been able to spread reporting responsibility across the organisation, with subject matter experts owning their data, process and action plans, including identification of issues, risks and opportunities. And this has meant that recruitment of additional resource has been limited to just one experienced disclosure manager, who in turn trains our existing teams in the new ways of working. You don't have to do it alone if you are accountable. That's one of the key messages. And finally, communication is vital in any transformation. We worked through stakeholder maps, identified ambassadors and change makers, and highlighted early success. And this has fostered new sustainability leaders within the company, committed and empowered to drive internal change and own their own transformation. So returning to my exam question of whether sustainability reporting detracts from positive progress on sustainability, taking people away from transformation actions, taking investment away from vital sustainability innovation, my conclusion based on 18 months of preparation for CSRD is no. I've seen our internal sustainability network increase, I've seen knowledge expand and the desire to be involved grow, and to date we continue to make incredible progress against our sustainability goals. Accountability ultimately sits with me, Sustainability Director and Executive Committee Leader, but by democratising and devolving the process, spreading ownership across the business has led to it being absorbed into roles and part of people's objectives, which for many of us in corporates is the ultimate test of acceptance. We believe that the long-term benefits far surpass the initial obstacles, which were perceived as burdensome. Sustainable practices, of course, lead to resource cultivation, translating to cost savings, as you heard previously, enhancing brand reputation, fostering trust amongst consumers and customers. But furthermore, sustainability for us is acting as a catalyst for team building, driving accountability, and uniting our colleagues under this common goal. So in conclusion, while ESG reporting may be complex, the resulting benefits are plentiful. It's an investment in our company's future, our people, of course, the planet. And we see these requirements as an opportunity to innovate, lead, and succeed in hopefully a more sustainable world. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Who knew that reporting was going to be it? Any laser-sharp questions from the audience before we have to move on and say thank you to Michelle? One thing struck me is that a good report will be full of don't knows, haven't done this, not there yet, because it shows honesty and transparency. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. Transparency is absolutely key. I'll be very honest now, we will probably not hit some of our targets that we've set, but we need to explain why. What were the barriers to progress? What were the challenges that we face? So we know, A, not to make the same potential mistakes next time. People can learn from them, but we have to be very honest. Nobody wants a greenwasher. Nobody wants to work for a greenwasher, more importantly. So transparency is absolutely key. And that's what I love about reporting. It does enable you to be honest and explain why. Part of the reporting is you have to explain your actions, your process, not just about numbers.
Yeah, absolutely so. Well, look, we have time for one question then, sir. We've got a microphone somewhere running down the centre aisle here at Stage 2, London.
Thank you.
I think it's on. Just close to your lips.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I just would like to ask, what's the right equation in order to get the buy-in, from the data custodian of, from a reporting point of view? It definitely will take time. The maturity level, indeed, will, it need time to, to at least digest. Yeah. So what's the right equation, based on your journey?
Yeah, data is absolutely key in all of this, of course, and knowing who the data owners are and knowing your as-is situation. Because if you don't know where you are to start with, so actually one of our key learnings, and maybe one of the mistakes we made at the beginning, was assuming that the integrity of our data was better than it was, that everything was on amazing Excel spreadsheets or in amazing databases. Actually, it wasn't. Stuff might be on people's laptops, stuff might be, etc. So spending the time in your roadmap to interrogate where the data sits, who the data owners are, what your as is, and what your to be will be. For us, that was the critical part. So give more time to the data part, because actually the reporting bit is probably the easy bit at the end. It's identifying where your data comes from and what data are you going to need to hit your marks.
Okay, Michelle, thank you very much. I'm sorry, we've got to move on.
Okay.
But Michelle, thank you.